We've got Rotus here. Rotus, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for my trouble.
What did I do now?
Adefemi, good morning.
What did Rufai do?
What did I do?
Rufai, and this is...
Dubai is back! Dubai is back!
Dubai is back.
Dubai is back.
It was a travel agency that said Dubai is back.
But you played it on there.
And I reported it
Dubai
because they
is
were
back.
excited. Because travel agencies make money on people that travel to different countries and they get a fee. I didn't say that. Anyway,
Go to the Dubai today.
I've never been to Dubai. I've never been there.
Go to the Dubai today.
Let's start with the story. Let's start with please, you're all elites. Don't forget, you're all elites. Trump has announced new tariffs to a set of countries. Of course, this is another set now. Philippines 20%, Brunei 25%, Moldova, Algeria, Libya, Iraq, Sri Lanka, Brazil. In fact, that Brazil actually should be 50%, not 30%. Excuse me. I think Defemi already touched on that. The trade from the excluding Brazil, if you look at the trade, U.S. imports from these countries outside of the Philippines and I think Iraq, it's really not that high, right? 14.2 billion, and it's mostly semiconductors and electronics from Philippines. Iraq is oil. Sri Lanka is oil. Algeria is oil and LNG. Libya is oil. Look at Brunei and Moldova. I mean, it's so small. So yet you wonder why. President Trump, of course, saying that he justified it, saying it is deficits. Do pay attention to what he said, deficits and being treated, unfairly, so to speak. Here he is in an interview yesterday.
Sir, can you explain how you calculated your latest round of tariffs? Was there a formula that was used? And do you expect any of these countries to face tariffs as well?
The formula was a formula based on common sense, based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, and based on raw numbers.
So look, I think Adefemi already brought this up. Brazil does not have a trade deficit with the U.S. doesn't have a trade deficit with Brazil, right? And I think you use first quarter numbers for 2025. Yeah. Anyway, for full year 2024, total trades in goods between the U.S. and Brazil was 92 billion. U.S. exports to the Brazil was 49.7, imports was 42.3. So the U.S. has a 7.4 billion trade surplus. So that means none of what he just said applies to Brazil. I think you brought up Bolsonaro and Lula da Silva, where Trump said that Bolsonaro is being prosecuted for trying to overthrow the government, is being charged for that. And the U.S. Embassy actually put out in Portuguese a notice saying that Bolsonaro is being prosecuted. Can you imagine if the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria puts out a notice and try to meddle in Nigerian politics, what that reaction is? So that has incensed Da Silva, and he says that they will use a reciprocity law, which their parliament passed, which says that whatever tariffs are levied on Brazil, they can respond in kind. They haven't announced it yet, but based on that law that parliament passed, it would be about 50. Now look, all this stems from Brics. Ever since Brics happened in Brazil, it irritated Trump. He truly believes that they are trying to delegitimize the dollar. So this was him earlier talking about how Brics was specifically set up to delegitimize the US dollar.
BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
So listen, I just really want to address this. This whole talk of trying to delegitimize the dollar, and it is overblown. The US dollar is king. No one is going to we've actually pulled these numbers from SWIFT, the international channel. Based on transaction share of 2024, I mean, look at this. The dollar, 47 to 49%. So that's, let's say 50. 1 out of every 2 transactions on the SWIFT platform was in US dollars. Second place is not even close. It's the euro at 21%, the pound in single digits at 6 to 7, then the yuan and the yen. That's the top 5. So whether it is, I'm using the acronym of Brazil, Russia, India, China, or South Africa, if I was to offer you 10,000 South African rand or 10,000 Russian rubles or 10,000 Indian rupees versus $10,000, you will pick the US dollar every single time. I know empires don't last forever, but the empire right now is the United States, and I do not see that changing. So just based on those stats, why would Trump want to levy a tariff when there is no chance of any other currency? Again, it goes back to this I don't know what it is, whether it's a petty thing or it's his view on trying to raise money. I don't know what it is, but anyway, the numbers just do not support it with respect to the status of the dollar. Just some other quick headlines that have been making the news. One, Linda Raccarino of X has stepped down after 2 years. We understand that somehow she was kind of demoted when X was sold to XAI. Also, the new chief financial officer that Elon Musk hired was, basically challenging her on costs, basically the deals that they're making with celebrity. I think Serena Williams has a new podcast that is supposed to be on X later this summer. XAI has released Grok 4. Elon Musk was part of that team that debuted it yesterday. It's supposed to be a new upgraded chatbot AI chatbot that's supposed to compete with OpenAI. And then NVIDIA briefly touched 4 trillion and it's down to 3.9 trillion, but it's the first company in history to make that. So Nigeria, got to shout out Ondo State and the great people of Ondo State. There is this this company, BINL, which is called Backbone Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, they are saying that they are planning a 500,000 barrel per day refinery, which is supposed to cost about $15 billion. They're also planning a free trade zone in the Ilaje local government area of Ondo State. It's supposed to be a joint venture between Ondo and the company. They're also in talks with the NNPC, but I think because of the first mover advantage of the Dangote refinery and all the wahala, to use that parlance for our foreign viewers, that he went through, I think they're going to be probably talking to looking at getting crude oil from elsewhere. And then they're going to be planning a courtesy visit to Governor Aida Tiwa. There's been a lot of news coming out of investment. We had the Lagos Investment Summit yesterday. The NUPRC said that about $8 billion in investment has led to some, rig counts that are going to be coming up. So as far as oil and gas, this is good news of what's happening with Ondo State. We need more refineries, more competition. States need to step up. That's our updates for today.
News. I like it's an announcement.
Yeah. So thank you, Rufai. In fact, the first phase is 100,000 barrels, a modular refinery, which is supposed to be ready in about 48 months, and then they proceed from there. So you're correct. This is in phases.
It's an announcement. You see, I'm very circumspect. In fact, too circumspect sometimes.
Yeah, but we'll report it now.
No.
Yeah, we're
it's
still
an
going to report
announcement.
You're stating the obvious. I know it's an announcement. That's what I'm reporting.
That's what I'm saying. Don't get too excited, Rotus. Except job is complete.
Yeah.
Money is drawn. You put out oil out there. And when I'm telling you it's an announcement, believe me.
Yeah.
Didn't we report Kolmani? What has happened to Kolmani since then?
Rufai, that's fine. They're going to visit the governor on the 15th.
Let us just report it at that. Until we see it with our korokoro eyes, we will not jump. But it's a good one.
Okay.
We want investment to come. Ondo has the potential. I would even want more investment in Ondo as regards bitumen. There's so much that is untapped as regards bitumen in Ondo. I want the factories to come back to Ondo. There used to be an entire town at some point in Ondo where you had a big factory. I think it was a Michelin factory or something.
Yep.
And Ondo was a very big industrial hub. So I will want all of that. But I'm also skeptical. And why we have to say it?
See the trap. The trap says planned. Yeah.
Yes.
15 billion investment
planned.
Why we also
have to say it?
It's planned.
Rotus, why we have to say it is the fact that it becomes talking point politically.
Yeah.
And you can't separate the truth from a lie.
Let's just stick to the announcement. We've announced it.
From planned, they will say it has been done. They will count it as achievement. You know the country we live in now.
It's an announcement. That's
Secondly,
all. Yeah.
As regards Trump and Bolsonaro, I'm very excited. Trump and Lula.
Yeah.
I'm very excited that somebody like Lula is really pushing back to what Trump is trying to do. Because Trump is just showing that he's the police of the world. And if you don't stop him in his track, this will not move forward.
Yeah.
And you see, the facts don't lie. This cry and dance about, they're outdoing us in trade, it's even in your favor. But you do not cite that. The next thing, you throw in Bolsonaro. And the truth has to be said. Bolsonaro, the court will convict him at their time, or they will prove their case, or he will be exonerated.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
There were crimes, and we saw what happened. So people shouldn't gaslight us in our faces like that. Secondly, you didn't want to talk about it, but I want to bring forward this issue, and it's for public education, about this visa reciprocity thing.
Yeah.
The Americans are saying reciprocity. The missing link, in fact, I've sent a message now to people in government. The missing link is, did we at any point reverse it? All the reports indicate that we didn't reverse anything we had signed with them before. Like you posited, this might be Trump's witch hunt.
Yeah, it's his immigration policy.
But we want to also know what transpired. Because if we now know, It's on that footing we'll be able to know and call out Trump for what he is. You know, I've always called him out. Because when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it was the same time Trump's own happened that we had Dubai, that Canada is putting 17 million in a country where GDP per capita is less than $1,000. What Canada is saying is that they don't want us to come. It's as clear and simple as that.
You know, there's an immigration fight there.
I know.
With Trudeau
so
and all that
all
stuff
of this is happening almost at the same time. We are having the UAE, we're having this and all of that. That's why I just want to know. And that's why, please, we want the government of Israel to come out to us. It will even put us in a better state to be able to defend them when they come out and say, no, we have not reversed anything. So this is just Trump being Trump.
Right.
But it's quite murky because a lot of messages are going around. And when I get the confirmation, I'll put it out there. It's only right for us to know.
No, I agree with you. I agree.
How about Nvidia being the size of the nominal GDP of Japan, almost India?
It's huge. Don't compare to Africa.
I said Japan and India.
No, it's even more than Africa. Africa is 20 trillion.
I didn't even say, I said Japan, I said India, just so those who know will know the scale we're talking about here. Yeah. Incredible. I haven't dug into the details yet, but just the fact that it's huge. It's huge. Very quickly to touch on Brics de-dollarization. First of all, I'm curious to see how Trump is going to handle the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, who are also Brics members now. Exactly. They joined recently. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out.
Well, he did it during Khashoggi's time now. He allowed Khashoggi's debt go like that because he was doing deals with Saudi. So it's very transactional. So you think he will go after Saudi for Brics. When it comes to Saudi, he will ignore it.
I'm just saying, because they're part of the Brics bloc as well. Just to summarize in a sentence, really, the prospect of de-dollarization, I think, seemed really unrealistic, more unrealistic. It's still a tall order. It's something very difficult to achieve. But when you see the fact that Russia's been able to operate outside of the SWIFT payment system, when you see that a lot of the trade that's now happening between the Brics bloc is no longer in US dollars. They are using rands, they are using Chinese renminbi, they're using Russian ruble. So I understand why Trump might be jittery, because if this happened under this watch, it would be the most epic fail of any American presidency.
Right.
I guess, exactly, actually, just to that vein. I think that while your point is valid, that we are way, way, way away from that being the real reality, I do think that this is an example of just Trump being able to recognize that there are steps.
Right, going in that direction.
Of course,
I agree.
And so eventually those steps could do something, could trigger. And that's why we're seeing these emotional responses to what we're seeing around the world. I mean, it goes without saying, I don't think a president of any country should be using tariffs in a political way, as he has been using it internationally. So I do think that he would do good to calm himself down and perhaps deal with the world with a bit more level-headedness.
Yeah, more finesse. Trump being Trump. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.